Hi guys, in this tutorial I'm going to share the Google add-on tool AutoCrat. What AutoCrat does is it actually takes information from a Google spreadsheet and merges it into another document. You can use it for multiple things, but for this tutorial it's going to be really basic how to take information from a Google spreadsheet and populate a Google document. So for this example I'm going to use a template I use for students to register for an event. What I've done is I've created this spreadsheet, this Google spreadsheet, and I have the information that I need. So I have the students' names, their usernames, their passwords, and then I have their advisor names. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this information and I'm going to have that populate over to this is my template. So you'll notice I have these brackets around these different parts of this document where the information from this spreadsheet where I want it to go. So that's it in a nutshell. So I'm going to click on add-ons. I actually already have AutoCrat installed, but if I didn't, I would go down to get add-ons. I could search for it and install it here. So just search for AutoCrat and there it is. But since I have it installed, I'm going to click on add-ons, AutoCrat, and then I'm going to open AutoCrat. Once AutoCrat is opened, you'll see I have these jobs that have already exist, but I'm going to create a new job. So I'm going to just call this tutorial. Oops, got to click in there. And then I'm going to click next. Now I can actually create a template, but I already created one, so I'm going to click from Drive. And what you'll see is my recent documents are going to come up. So here's my tutorial I want to use. I'm going to click on Select. And then you'll see it'll show right here, so I know it's been selected. Sometimes that takes a bit, so you're going to want to wait for that. And then I'm going to choose Next. And now this is where you're going to have those little, like I call it a formula, where it's going to map to where you're going to actually make this population of these little bracket names happen. Total layman's terms I'm using, but that's how it works. So I'm going to put my cursor over here and I'm going to go sheet 1 because that's where it's coming from. And notice it actually does it for me. So I would, if it didn't, could go through and I could say, hey, you got it wrong. But for the most part, it works pretty well. Then I'm going to click next again. And then I need to tell AutoCrat what I want to name the file that it's outputting. So this is the actual tutorial. So I'm going to go, this is going to be final tutorial. And the type that I want is Google Doc, but I could also create a PDF. Now notice I can also have multiple documents or I can have a single document. I selected single document because I wanted everything to print at one time. But I'm going to choose multiple documents for this tutorial and then I'm going to click next. It's going to ask me where do I want to put all this information. So I'm going to choose the folder. And what I've noticed here is you can't actually create a folder. You need to have the folder created ahead of time. So it has my most recent folder up here, which I created for this tutorial. And now you can go on to all of these things, but you know, this is just a really basic one. So I'm just going to click save from here. I don't need any other information to do what I need to do for this tutorial. So now it's saving my job. So here are my jobs and I actually have to run my job. So you run your job by pressing this little play button and then it'll give me status updates. So this does take a little while. So notice it'll say like 1 of 10 and it'll just keep going until it's done. When AutoCrat's done doing its thing, it'll take you back to this window. So I'm going to close this window and now you'll see here in my document that I can find this job. If I click on the final tutorial, it'll actually take me to that document. So you'll see here's where my advisor name is. This is where my student name was. And then if I go down here, this is where the username and password was. What's really cool about this, if you go back here, you'll notice that if I changed, like I highlighted this in yellow, even if I changed the font, it will actually do that in the final as well. So that's something that's really useful. I can also find these documents by going into that folder I created. So here's that folder, and then here are all of the documents. But the one downfall is that they're all named the same thing. So that might be the benefit of making sure that maybe you have one document. And that's why I have the advisor's name at the top, because afterwards I'm going to have to go through and I'm going to sort these documents by advisor to get these to their advisees. So that was really basic and I hope that you found this helpful.